we are looking at 3D printers, and we talked about this previously, and we mentioned quite a number of things regarding 3D printing. So some of the things we mentioned were the history of 3D printing, and who and when was the 3D printing invented. We also talked about the software requirements. What are some of the software you require to do or to have in order to actually come up with a 3D printing object. We also talked about the materials that are used in 3D printing. We mentioned about the technology used in 3D, like sintering, melting, and also steel or lithography. We also talked about different types of 3D printing, like binder jetting, direct energy deposition, material extraction, and such. So today I want us to look at just possible ways in which 3D can be used, and how it is being used so far in the industries today. With me, as you can see, I have a picture here. I have the first picture, which is labeled figure 3.14, which is a typical 3D printer, and we also have this alloy wheel, which is an object created using 3D printer. Okay, so looking at these two elements, there is so much we can extract from this. So I want us to look at the just revisit some of the things we did previously, just to make them clear for us and to make us understand what exactly is a 3D printer and how it has been used so far. So a 3D printer is printing object that is used to print three-dimensional object using laser technology or inkjet technology. So the solid object is basically created through layering process, the process we normally call additive process, because you are adding layer on top of another layer. So these, at the end of the day, the object you create end up having several layers, forming a 3D object or component. Now the layer is the layers of the object are built up with materials such as powder resin, powder metal, paper, or even ceramic. So those are some of the objects or some of the materials that are used in 3D printing. Now in the case of the alloy wheel we have, it is an outcome of 3D printing using the technology known as binder 3D printing. So it was made from many layers of 0.1 millimeter thick of powder metal using a technology known as binder 3D printing. So other examples include, or other areas or other things that can that we need to know generally about 3D are as follows. Now, there are various types of 3D that are in existence today. We have a smaller one, a 3D printer, which is a size of a microwave, and we even have a larger one, which are even bigger than the size of a car. So there are various type of 3Ds depending on their size and what they are printing. Now, 3D printers uses what we call additive manufacturing process. So this is where the object is built up by building up layer by layer. So this is contrary to subtractive method, which is normally used specifically like the process used in sculpturing, where you get a soapstone, then you carve your object out of it. So that is called subtractive. But as opposed to that, 3D printing is additive process, because you add layer after layer to come up with your object. Now let's talk printing. So direct 3D printing uses inkjet technology, and the printhead can move left to right, or even left to right and right to left, and it can also move up and down to build up layers of an object. On the other hand, we also have binder 3D printing, which is technically similar to direct 3D printing, but it is kind of peculiar, because this binder 3D printing uses two passes. The first pass of layer is normally the powdered spray, and the second one is the binder, which is sprayed on top of the previous powder layer. So this binder is some form of glue that is able to to fix or to glue the powder together to form a compact layer. Now we also have newer technologies which are also being tested in this area, like we have the laser and UV lights being used in liquid polymers to create objects. So these are some of the areas which 3D technology is basically being tested in order to come up with objects. Right. So let's look how 3D object is first crafted before it is physically produced. So for one to come up with a 3D object, you must use what we call a computer-aided design software, which helps you to design the 3D projects, the 3D objects that you want. Once you have designed the 3D objects that you want to print, this finalized drawing must be imported into a special software that prepares your object into a format to a format the 3D printer can be able to recognize it. So once it is done, or once it has been imported and it has been converted into a format that your 3D printer can be able to understand, the 3D printer is first set up to allow the solid object to be made. So we have to set up the 3D printer depending on the object that you have created or the object that you want. Now the solid object is built up layer by layer. So the thickness of the layer is approximately 0.1 millimeter thick. This can take several hours, because it is laying layer by layer, and also because of the size of the objects you are creating, the whole procedure and the whole process can take several hours owing to that, because the layers might be thinner and the object is huge. So or generally the layers are thin and the objects might be huge, so you'll find that the printer will take some time to come up with the object that you want. So mostly some of these objects, after being created using layering, they are further prepared. Some are normally submerged in water, some are smeared with oil, some are left to cure by themselves, and some unwanted parts are removed from it, so that we are left with exactly, or the object is left clean as it should have been. So that is how 3D object is created. Now let's finalize this by looking at the uses of 3D. Now 3D printing is regarded as the next big thing in computer science and in IT technology, or generally in industrial technology, because it is promising a lot of things, because it will be used not only in manufacturing industry, but its roots are penetrating even to medical industry and others. So as some of the uses of this 3D printing are listed here, we are talking of covering of a prosthetic limb, which can be made to exactly fit the limb. Yeah. So and also precision construction, especially in surgery. So 3D can be used to reconstruct the facial of a person after an accident. All right, so you find that that one will be a plus for the industry and generally for the humankind. So in aerospace manufacturing, 3D is used in creating of the wings and other parts of the aeroplane. So it is crucial to note that 3D printing is extending its tentacles, not from and in discovering different technologies in different areas. We also have fashion art industry, where also 3D is expected to, feature so much. So 3D printing allows creative ideas to be developed in art and fashion industry. So that is very crucial and very important. 3D can is also being used, or will be used, or is being tested in areas such as in car assembly industry, where car suspension, car parts, bodies are created using 3D printing process. So this is a technology that is very instrumental, and we need to keep watch of it, so that we are not left behind with the technology that it is promises to bring. Personally, I'll be ready to present to you any new technology that I deem worth sharing with you, as far as ICT, IT, and computer science is concerned. So as you can see, this is a technology that promises much to the mankind, and it is going to be instrumental going forward. So that is it from me today about 3D. So thank you for joining me and for taking your time to watch this. So if you are watching this video for the first time, please subscribe, and if this is not your first time, please, if you've subscribed, please share this video, so that we can be able to develop this channel together. Thank you.